had a loan, and when I left, that was the most worrisome factor for me. How do I pay the EMIs? Though loan was also huge, to be giving that amount of money every month and you're not earning, it takes a toll on you.
What was the moment when you said, okay, this is my last sale and now I'm going to go into entrepreneurial journey?
First things obviously that you have to take care of is the finance. Do you have enough to sustain for the next 1.5 years?
How do you see this journey? Like, what were the dark sides of it?
Business is a completely different ball game. Starting Shipskart and not knowing anything about how do you do a business planning, how do you make investor memorandums, how you make a pitch deck. I had no idea, right?
What does exactly Shipkart do?
Ship owners, ship managers vessels can create requisitions, ship owners can approve them, select vendors online. We've got vendors also part of the platform. So we're basically providing them a catalog platform where users can buy whatever they want to buy, companies can approve, and vendors can deliver.
How has the journey from the seafarer to entrepreneur changed you in terms of your mindset and psychology?
You have to sacrifice a lot in doing that because you are very isolated. You're missing a lot on life.
Right.
I always wanted to do something of my own. Always and always. More cut maybe for a sales job or something like that.
How do you build this network? Because as a seafarer, you are on ships trotting around and changing ships. You never have one person with you constantly. Welcome back to another episode of the KSN show. Today's episode, we have a master mariner who changed into an entrepreneur and co-founded one of the biggest maritime startups in India. I promise you, in this episode, you will learn a lot about entrepreneurship, about what are the best sectors in the maritime industry where you can start your own startup, and of course, the dark side of the entrepreneurial journey. Stay tuned. Lots of information packed in this video. It helped me personally to understand how I can go about my career. So I'm sure it'll help you too. Let's go straight into the episode. Captain Dhruv, welcome to the KSN show, sir. How are you feeling?
Thank you, Karan. Thank you for having me. I'm absolutely fine. How about you?
I'm good, sir, and thank you for coming all the way from Germany and coming onto the studio directly.
And that's I was looking forward to this. So thank you for having me.
Right, sir. So as a master mariner, turned into an entrepreneur, and then co-founding Shipskart, could you tell the audience, sir, what does exactly Shipskart do?
So Shipskart essentially is an Amazon-like procurement platform. So where vessels, ship owners, ship managers vessels can create requisitions, ship owners can approve them, select vendors online. We've got vendors also part of the platform. So we're basically providing them a catalog, a platform where users can buy whatever they want to buy, companies can approve, and vendors can deliver. So we've just created a platform just like how an Amazon would work.
Right, sir. Did you always have this in mind when you were sailing, that you want to open something like this?
Not really, but in 2016, I think one of my friends, Vivek, he mentioned this idea that there should be an Amazon-like procurement platform for ships, and that idea got stuck with me. And I remember going back home that night or the next night, wanting to at least buy the domain of the website. And I wanted to buy shipkart.com or shipskart.com. Shipkart was not available, so we bought shipskart.com. So the idea came about, during a social, dinner that we were having with friends, and it just came about, and we've never looked back since then.
Right, sir. Let's dial it down back, sir. When did you start sailing?
So I started sailing. I did my cadetship from ARI Delhi in the Chhatarpur campus back in 2003. And 2004, I think I went on my first ship as a cadet. I was that time employed working with Gear Bulk. I think they were the only company that time having gantry ships. The manning office was in Mumbai, Elite Mariners Private Limited, if you would know. So yeah, from there on, went on to sail on tankers with Bernard Schulte, Maersk, K-Line. And the last 7 years, I was employed with a French company called Bourbon Offshore.
Okay.
So that was my entry into offshore.
So you have like a varied range of experiences from the sailing, like from tankers to get bulk to offshore. Offshore is like the DP vessels?
Yes, DP vessels.
Okay.
Offshore was possibly the best time that I had in my, whole sea career because
Hmm.
I think the seeds of entrepreneurship were sown during those times.
Okay.
Because in fact, before Shipskart, I had founded another company called DV Ship Management. It was on my parents' name,
Hmm.
DV, Deep and Veena, and that was primarily doing crew management for offshore vessels.
Hmm.
So Urban was actually my first client that time.
Okay. So you had like a startup before Shipskart. That was
Absolutely,
DV.
absolutely, the company was recently, not recently, like acquired a couple of years back.
Hmm.
So that was like my first exit that I got. But the company was doing very well,
Hmm.
running for about close to 8 years, 9 years. I
Hmm.
mean, it's still running, but
Right.
at least I'm not like a part of it now.
Okay. So during your sailing time, what were some of the skills which you learned while being on the ship, which are now coming in handy as a co-founder of Shipskart?
Karan, I always thought that I'm the possibly the most ordinary guy, and having very less skills. If you ask me that, what is that one thing that you're good at, I might not be able to give you an answer because I can be decent at a lot of things, but I'm not really a master of a
Mm.
particular thing. I think to be very honest, what has worked for me is that sincerity is one of the virtues that I would have. That like. I always knew that people, like are so smarter than me. So I have to put in that extra effort, extra hours to match them,
Mm.
or at least be, at par with them. And what has worked for me is that I've made some really good friends. I've made some, nice acquaintances which have really somewhere in my career helped me out. Professionally, personally. So I think that has the people to people connect has really worked for me, and the sincerity and hardworking part.
Right, sir. Do you think the sea teaches us many of these aspects because we are in a very dynamic environment all the time in risk of suppose storms or perhaps stability issues and capsizing and all of that fire on the ship? We are always trying to mitigate risks, but in a business you got to take the risks. So how did you come to that consensus, and what was the right fit in the change of your mindset? Uh,
So obviously, maritime industry is a difficult industry, right? Staying 6 months, from away from your family on water is a completely different challenge, right? So you have a lot of time for yourself. You know it, right? You have a lot of time for yourselves. You're alone in your cabins. So much of things that go through your mind that time. It is a tough life, and obviously it prepares you well, for other things that you want to pursue in your life. But I think business is a completely different ball game. And I remember coming back and starting Shipskart and not knowing anything about how do you do a business planning, how do you make investor memorandums, how you make a pitch deck. I had no idea, right? So because you have to again understand that nowadays obviously you have a lot of internet, right? So but back in the day, the exposure to the outside world was very less.
mm,
So we also had internet, right? But I mean, you're not really bothered about. I used to read a lot of news, but that is very limited exposure.
mm,
How startups are functioning, how what goes into the background
mm.
before starting up with a company. So these things you learn, when you're in that process, in that zone, when you're starting out a company. So these things I learned after leaving shipping and after joining Shipskart.
Oh,
It can, as I said, that some things you learn, when you're doing that job.
right. So, what was the moment like when you said, "Okay, this is my last sale, and now I'm going to go into uh, entrepreneurial journey"? What was the feeling like, sir?
So, you can make a lot of plans, but obviously those plans really don't, work out the way you wanted them to work out.
Mm.
Um, First things obviously that you have to take care of is the finance, right?
Mm.
I have a family, and I had a young family. So I think my kids were born in 2017. So and I did my last sailing in 2017 only, right? So they were born in November, and I left in 2017 June. So obviously, I wanted to be home, and that was the idea. But more than that, you have to look at the finance part of it. That do you have enough to sustain for the next 1.5 years? So I made up. I still have that diary where I've written that this is the amount of money that I'll save, and this will go. This will work for me for the next 1.5 years. But surprisingly, the money got over in the next 6 to 8 months only. So you might plan something, but it might not really materialize. But for us, the first things was the finance, and but once you jump into the water, you will learn how to swim, right? So I think the I think the only learning that I've one of the learnings that I've had from Shipskart is perseverance. Just keep at it, and doors will open for you.
Right. You spoke about a very important point, which is finance, and especially as mariners, we are more or less quite weak in terms of it, because in a junior officer rank, we earn perhaps 2 lakh, 3 lakh a month, and we come back, we buy a good car and a house, and there's a loan on top of your head now. Was it the same case with you? You had a loan when you exited?
Absolutely, I had a loan, and when I left, that was the most worrisome factor for me. How do I pay the EMIs? And I had taken up a house, and though loan was also huge, right? I mean, to be giving that amount of money every month, and you're not earning, it takes a toll on you. But I won't go into details in the sense that what transpired. How did I pay that loan? But yes, I think, as I said, that when you once you're into it, doors open for you, right? So doors opened for me as well, and I was able to pay off the loan the next 1.5 years, right? A DV was working well, so I had some sort of a backup. COVID hit, so I had something to help me with the with my finances. So I think it just worked out very well for us during COVID. We through DV's perspective, we booked a lot of tickets. We booked a lot of hotels. People had to stay for 15 days for this isolation period, right, that they had, and it just worked out very well.
So, would you recommend for the viewers who are watching? Because a lot of us always keep thinking while going on the ship that this is my last sail, I want to quit, and I don't want to come back. So, in your case, suppose you had not suppose, but you had a backup of DV at that moment. So, what are your advice for the viewers who are constantly thinking, I want to quit, I want to quit? But what is the best way to quit this profession?
I've especially when you're a deck officer, can't say the same for the engineers, but there's a joke also, right, that somebody asked a captain, this is back in the day, I'm sure it's not very applicable now, it's so many inspections, but somebody asked a captain that what do you do all day on a ship? He says, I just sip coffee, right? So you owe that coffee, you make so many plans. Like, I've seen my friends also, that this time when I go, this is my last sail, and I'm never going to come back, and we're going to do this, but eventually it never materialized, right? Because you have to take that plunge. And for me, DV was not the one that I was like, it was giving me a lot, but during that COVID period, we did make a lot of money. So that sort of helped me, with the loan part. But as I said, right place, right time, things happen for me. But you have to be ready. If you're jumping in the the entrepreneurial journey, you have to be ready to see some bad times, especially the finance. And when we're, as you said, seafarers, we splurge a lot, right? Now I'm sure there is a lot of knowledge about where to invest. People invest in stocks, mutual funds, and all these things. But back then, no, nothing, right? So, I was same. I had bought a Audi back in the day, right? And the first thing that I did, I sold off the car because I was in the fifth year. I did not want that something happens to the car, and the insurances then after 50 years are limited. I could not afford to be in that position where some accident is happening and I'm paying a huge big amount to get this car rectified. So yes, but you'll have to be ready for for seeing some really scary times also.
So you said that the amount of stress that comes onto you once you quit and you get into this journey is quite a lot, and it's scary. In your case, how did you deal with this stress? Any practical tips which you still apply?
Can't think of any practical tips, but you have to have good friends who can loan you some money. That's the easiest way, to get through that situation. So I had good friends. And I had obviously had to take some money from them, because how do I sustain? So and it became a huge concern, right? As I said, young kids. Just to give you an example, I keep telling this as a joke, where I used to ask my wife that. So I have twins, right? So I asked them that asked my wife that when do these kids when do our kids start having regular milk, because Nanpro is very expensive, so how do we when do we reach that stage where we can feed them milk? So you look at those aspects, you face those aspects also, right, of life, where the money is a big hindrance.
So do you regularly work out or have some meditation practices which you do? Because being very honest, like myself and my co-founder here, we also get that same stress now because we're putting in so much money and nothing is coming at first, and we're
Right.
putting in savings. So for me personally, it's my workout regime which keeps me balanced and sane. You have something like that?
So
Yeah.
cricket is one thing that has kept me sane. Like those 3 hours that we play every weekend. Um, I don't think about work that time. At least that's what has actually kept us sane during the most difficult times also. So yes, so cricket was that. In last 7-8 months, I started going to the gym now. So that's again a stress buster, where again 45-50 minutes you train with an instructor, and you have nothing but looking forward to the gym. But things are obviously this the stress is always there, right?
Right.
What stresses you changes, right? Earlier there was something else, now there's something else. But to answer your question, cricket was the one thing that I really looked forward
Right,
to every
right.
weekend.
You spoke about a very important point of having peers and friends. In fact, let's move on to that segment of networking, and that's what eventually helped you out also. How do you build this network? Because as a seafarer, you are on ships trotting around and changing ships. You never have one person with you constantly. So, how did you start networking for your company?
I think if you see our journey, the first investment also that we raised from angel investors, I think we raised close to about 120K that time, in the first 6-8 months of the company. And it was through only friends and family, right? And more than family, it was friends actually. People all from the maritime industry. They 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 took a they put a sort of they took that bet on me, that that I hope that they hope that I'll be able to put this money to right use and give them some returns, right? But so you don't sort of you build relationship over a period of time, right? It doesn't happen that it doesn't happen over a short period of time. So we had those relationships, and these are all my bosses, my colleagues, my seniors, all of them are my seniors, right? Who took that bet. So we, as I said, that you know how you are as a person, you you know you connect with more people, and somewhere somebody will come and hold your hand and say that, okay, I'm ready to support you in your journey. And we had more than a few in our journey.
Is it a good tool like a LinkedIn tool and like Twitter to have this kind of networking? Because on the internet, we talk about it a lot, that networking, LinkedIn is a great platform. Does it work? Coming straight from a co founder, does it work?
I'm like a I'm like the biggest fan of LinkedIn. I think whatever good things, most of the good things and big things that have happened to Shipskart is through LinkedIn. Um, our first investor, our lead investor from our last round, Marina, we connected on LinkedIn, right? Somebody had tagged her. There's this guy that I know who had tagged her and a bunch of other investors, and I just connected, just sent her a request and say that some message that I sent, like a couple of lines, and obviously maritime industry, there are not too many startups. There are now, but about 3 years back, when we met, 3.5 years back, there were not so many, and she had known, she knew about us, and she just messaged back, would love to chat. So, and from there on, things turned around for us. So, a message can actually change your life also, right? So, I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn. Any events that I go to, from Singapore, Athens, Posidonia event, SMM Hamburg, there would be, and this is not something that I'm exaggerating, but there would be like 10 or 15 people at those events who will come to me and say that, oh, are you Dhruv Sawhney from Shipskart? Oh, we follow you on LinkedIn. We follow you on LinkedIn. We know that you're doing this, and it's not that I put a lot of post every day, but whatever is relevant, I do post, right? But the network that we have built, that I've been able to build, on LinkedIn is massive. Like I've got about 20,000 followers,
Right.
17, 18,000 connections. That is a massive network, and whatever you're putting, everybody's seeing that, right? So
Right.
it's a very good publicity, and who would know it better than you?
Yeah, I personally agree with you with the fact that LinkedIn is one of the greatest assets to have in your inventory
Absolutely,
to showcasing whatever you're doing. Because the right investors are also looking to pitch
absolutely.
in wherever they can feel it can work. So let's talk about the dark side of the entrepreneurial journey. See, everything looks good in the beginning. Everything looks like, okay, we can become millionaires perhaps and sell off this company. And, you not being from the technical side, from the tech background, and you right now have a tech related company. And how do you see this journey? Like, what were the dark sides of it?
A very, very pertinent question, Karan. So, you need to have a CTO if you're building something, if you're digitalizing something, right? And for, Sunny, me, and Vivek, we did not have any, tech background, right? So, Sunny and Vivek, Vivek comes from the maritime background. He was a chief officer. Sunny comes from the finance. So, we did not have a tech co-founder. So we, like most people would do, we outsourced it
Hmm.
to a company, and it did not really work out. They will, whatever you're asking them to do, they will evaluate it. They will say that, oh, this much hours it'll take to build this, and then this is the amount of money that you'll have to pay. This much you'll have to pay advance. So so it did not work out, and plus they're working in on 5 other projects,
Hmm.
alongside yours. So we got it made. It did not help us any which way, but there was this company called T9 Labs in Delhi, right? So they they used to provide that tech support to the startups like us who did not have a tech co-founder. So they would be your tech co-founder in lieu of uh, equity.
Hmm.
So they would not take a lot of money from you. You can pay them whatever you're comfortable with, right? That's how Fahad and Nitin, the guys from T9 Labs, I think that was a big turning point in our journey as well.
Hmm.
Uh, that these guys came on board and they built a product which
Hmm.
we could sell in the market,
Hmm.
sell to our clients, right? And once we were, and their journey is also for 2 years only.
Hmm.
So once they come in, they will handhold you. They will be the tech co-founders for 2 years,
Hmm.
and thereafter they will leave it to you to build your own team. And that's what we did, and it worked perfectly well for us.
Okay. So basically, you got the right person at the right time when it was required.
Absolutely.
And so, I want to talk about the dark sides of the entrepreneurial journey. What were some of the phases, if you can recollect, where you were like, now I want to give up this journey, I want to go back on the ship? Did you have such moments?
Not really. Um, as I said that that thought of going back did not occur to us. I still feel that okay, we are at a certain level now. This company is, but you never know about the future, right? But I feel that this maritime industry cannot let you down. The market opportunity is huge still, right? It was back in the day also. Only you can fail the company. You as a co-founder, your team together can fail the company, but the industry will not let you down because there is so many opportunities, right? There are so many ships, there are so many people, there are so many companies who would want your platform, right? Who like the idea. So we were very clear that this will work,
Hmm.
provided we stay, true to our vision.
Right. Uh, Talking about the maritime industry, sir, what are the best places and opportunity which you see right now, which can be filled by, suppose, a budding entrepreneur who, a seafarer, wants to convert into? What do you think are the best places right now to tap into in the sector?
I think too many. Like crewing is one place where I see a lot of fellow, entrepreneurs who are working on crewing, mental well-being and so on, so on. Like there is a company called Frontem that I know of, that Kiran is a good friend. So they are doing that. Then there is a lot of startups now for calculating carbon emissions. So these are the two areas that I know that they are doing, that a lot of people are working on. And plus, again, as I said, that there's sky's the limit here. It is a very traditional industry. So much for you to digitalize, and whatever anybody can think of a good idea, I'm sure
Right.
the industry will welcome it, provided it really helps,
Hmm.
the industry as a whole.
Uh, does the maritime industry, like you were saying before, that there is a lot of opportunity, but the people are not there. So once, suppose me myself wants to have a startup in the maritime industry, is it supportive of the entire culture of what I'm trying to do?
Yeah, so that's a tricky question to answer. See, not every company will be supportive enough, right? Like whenever I go, all I sort of request them in the initial years was to give us a pilot opportunity. Like at least, you know, see the platform, beyond the demo also, like, put it on a couple of ships and see how it works. If it doesn't work, we get a feedback and we work on it, and, thank you very much. But yes, the mindset is very traditional. It is very traditional. People think that digitalization will mean losing of jobs, which is not the case. Digitalization is increasing efficiency. You can concentrate on the high ticket products rather than the ones, which is the daily products, like consumer daily categories like consumer provisions and, so on, which primarily the platform offers, right? So you can do so much with digitalization, but not everybody will hold your hand and say that
Hmm.
I'll give you a chance. I know you'll make some mistakes,
Right.
but still I'll give you. Not. I mean, again,
It's a
you'll. It's very fragmented that ways.
right, very fragmented, also very global space. So it's not like a niche for India. So in your case, Shipskart, I know there are offices in Singapore, Netherlands, India, Bangladesh. How did you manage to place these offices internationally?
So Singapore was obviously the place where we wanted to have our headquarters. See, we are a global company. We are not a company that is only targeting India, right? And I think maritime being such a niche market, you need to have global investors investing. Like I might have spoken to at least 50 odd investors from India, but they do not understand the market, right?
Right.
Because how many investors do you know who actually invest big money into the maritime space? I don't know any, like at least based out of India. They can be Indian from abroad who are putting in the money, Indian companies, but not from India. So, we wanted to have a company headquartered in a maritime rich country. Singapore was the obvious choice, and then Netherlands was because we started our journey with Port Excel, which is a Dutch accelerator,
Okay.
and it was required by them to that we have a office, a company registered in Netherlands. So that was the reason. We bought back equity from them a couple of years back, because we know that Europe is a very relevant market for us, and we don't want to create more companies. We just bought back the equity there. Bangladesh is a company that we started off only for a client, and that is something that we are shutting down soon also.
Okay.
But India, yes, we do a lot of business in India. We have warehouses in India, so again, we had to have that company.
So, sir, so much logistics is involved. So much transportation is involved. So many parties are involved to delivering it to the ship. Uh, how did you build this network? From warehousing to reaching it out to the ships, and you cannot be on site always. So, how did you get that team together?
So, Karan, we're still learning, I mean, um, So what does a warehouse basically involve? You wanted to have a warehouse because A, you can have 90% of the most ordered products in the warehouse, because maritime is these are time sensitive delivery. The ship is
Right.
the KPI of the ports depend on how fast you can load or unload a ship and send them back to sea. So the loadings and dischargings have become faster, and that's why the port stay has become very short. You know it, right? And that's why you need to have 90% of the most ordered products in your warehouse. So we were starting off with provision, so we wanted to have that already there in the warehouse. So from there on, obviously we learned how you get the custom clearances, shipping bills made, and all that. But now we've been doing this for last 4 years, right? So we've got the hang of it, and it's not
Right.
something that that is very difficult to do, because you have the connects now. The difficult part is to manage everything together, because it's a people intensive job, right? People have to deliver,
Right.
right? So those things, to make processes, and we're still learning. Process wise, we're always making new SOPs every
Right.
month, right, to further streamline whatever our learnings are.
As a leader, sir, having so many people to manage, what are some of the greatest obstacles first, and how do you overcome those obstacles in managing people?
I think the answer to your question was in the question itself, right? Managing so many people, right? Everybody is different, and when you have a business which is scattered all around, like you have people in Mumbai, Gujarat, Chennai, Cochin, Noida, and also a few people working remotely uh, in other parts of India, and globally also. I think managing people is something that I'm also learning, while being on the job. But again, it's a continuous process. I might not be the same guy I was a year back, because some experiences have taught me that this is what you should be doing, whether you should be managing or not. So you keep learning all these things, and over a course of time, I don't know how I'll end up, when I hang up my boots, but I think so far it's going okay, and I'm learning.
Right, sir. Uh, when was the first time an investor pitched in for Shipskart?
So we started our journey in 2018 October. So Port Excel happened 2018 February, actually. We did our first order in October. So that's when we had a small amount, a very bare minimum, and then we raised our first VC investment, which is pre-seed. We raised close to $125,000 in 2020, and thereafter we raised close to $3.5 million in the last 2 years.
Okay. Why I asked you this question was because suppose a budding entrepreneur is watching this. Where does he seek these investors? I mean, how was your approach, and what can he learn from, or she can learn from this?
I think the first round for me, because when you have an idea, you want to, obviously, you have a concept, you want to, have a, minimum viable product, the MVP as we call it, and that will basically give you a feedback, from the market. The easiest way to go through this is to raise money from friends and family. It's the easiest. They are the people who trust you with their money, who will be ready to place that bet on you. That's the easiest one, right? And once you've raised that much money, then you look at the smaller investors who can give you, who can understand the business. And again, um, you have to reach the right maritime investors, because my experience has been that very few people, non-shippies, non-VCs, non-maritime VCs understand the business and the the magnitude of the industry, right? So I think it's very important that you pitch your idea to people who understand this industry more than anybody else.
Right, right. Uh, so I think LinkedIn, like we discussed, is a good way to start and approach a maritime VC who's interested
Right,
in a startup.
right. And now there are in Singapore, there are VCs like Motion Ventures, which is also an investor with us, wherein corporates like Williamson, MOLs, HHLA, port operators in Germany, and Stolt, all these big corporates have put in their money in motion for them to invest in startups. So it's not very difficult to at least get to the right person now. It's
Right.
not very difficult.
Right, sir. So, how is this personal question, sir? How is the journey from the seafarer to entrepreneur changed you, like in terms of your mindset and psychology? Like before, as a seafarer, what you used to think was good, bad, right, wrong, whatever, and now as an entrepreneur, what do you think is good, right, wrong? So, what has the transition phase been like for you?
It changed me a lot, obviously. It's a totally different world, right? I mean, uh, when I was so I don't think that I was a very, I'm not, I won't say I was a misfit at sea. I really enjoyed my time at sea. It has given me a lot, and I'm very emotionally connected to this industry because whatever I am today is because of this industry. I think there are only two professions which give you, which can take your family from a lower middle class or a middle class level to a, to the next level. Um, which one is, being on the ship, and
Right.
second is to be becoming a pilot, right?
Absolutely.
And the difference comes how much money you invest in going on a ship and versus how much you invest in becoming a pilot, and the difference is a lot, right?
Right.
So I think it's the easiest way to take your family high, up the ladder in terms of financial security. Having said that, you have to sacrifice a lot in doing that um, because you are very isolated. You're missing a lot on life
Right.
in life, right? So for me, obviously, I always wanted to do something of my own, always and always. I thought I was more cut maybe for a sales job or something like that. Um, did not think that it'll come so fast. But you know sea is a very easy, slow life, right? You have a lot of time for yourself, and
Yep.
if I have to be very honest, I sometimes I feel that even 24 hours is less, right? It's a very fast paced life. Every day you have to do something, you have to make things happen, because uh, either you make it a like a traditional business which will keep on going for a certain amount of time and then become irrelevant. You want to uh, make things happen within the stipulated time that you have here. So things are very fast here.
Right. Right. So, from a main fleet sailing experience to an offshore sailing experience, how was that transition?
I remember, this actually happened during MERS time only. We were loading. We had loaded in Africa. Can't remember the port in Africa, but West Africa somewhere, and we were going down. And me and the third officer were talking about offshore ships, and we saw a bourbon ship. So we called up the bourbon ship on the VHF. There was not too much of traffic, and we called up, and obviously the guy was not interested in giving us any answers. But then I researched about offshore bourbon, and thankfully a couple of friends were working in offshore that time. And again, right place, right time. Yeah, that was the last. Maersk was the last ship that I did in terms of the main fleet, and things just gradually happened, and I never looked back. Uh, I always wanted to join offshore, because the salaries were amazing there. Like what a second officer used to get in offshore, maybe a captain used
Yep.
to get on bulk carriers that time. And secondly, the short contracts. And third, if even in case there is an emergency, at your place, you're always around the port.
Right.
You're never mid sea, like unless you're going from one place to another, which is very rare. You've taken a new delivery, or the ship is undergoing dry dock. Otherwise, you're always at one place, and these three things, tempted me to be in the offshore industry.
Right. And how was the experience in the offshore?
The best experience, I think. If you ask me, still I was very happy.
Right.
Not that I want to trade my life now, because we're building something, but amazing. The company was amazing, and I think what it gave me, what bourbon did, was the people, who I worked with, became big part of my life, right? I mean, so many of them are now with Shipskart.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Yeah, so many people are
Okay.
from Bourbon are now and from Shipskart, right?
Mhm.
Um, and plus it gave me that confidence, Karan, that even I can do something,
Mm.
which was not there pre-Bourbon.
Mm.
The kind of importance that they gave me. I was possibly the blue-eyed boy of
Mm.
the company, and all the bosses, used to really really like me, and they were the first investors also. So
Mm.
the, that confidence actually, when DV also happened, the first client was Bourbon.
Mm.
So I think Bourbon was the the one company that changed it for me.
Right, right. You were in which in the offshore? You were in which kind of DP1, DP2, DP3?
Always DP2.
Always
Always
DP2.
DP2 vessels.
Okay, so can you just explain what DP2 does?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically it's dynamic positioning. So primarily offshores are also, can be classified into various other segments, right?
Mm.
One is the logistics in this, right? So
Mm.
there are boats that do towing.
Mm.
There are anchor handling boats. There
Mm.
are DP vessels. There are seismic vessels, which are basically, which are doing a lot of survey boats, right? So
Right.
DP, these DP2 vessels that I was working on
Mm.
were HTS and PSVs. So primarily what they do is they work closely with the platform, oil rigs,
Okay.
and help them with the logistics. So
Mm.
a rig has a very limited capacity for storing whatever it requires operationally,
Right.
and so whatever they require for drilling, right?
Mm.
So whatever they require, they will ask us to give them. Whatever they don't require, they will give it back to us. Then they
Mm.
need to be supplied with water, fuel,
Mm.
some chemicals that they require for drilling. So that's something that we'll do it
Mm.
through a hose that we supply to them,
Right.
or otherwise the rig needs to be towed from one place to another.
Mm.
Then also you require an offshore vessel,
Mm.
right? So for me, these were the two ships that I worked on.
And this will be like the famous question everybody keeps asking. How much does a DP vessel master earn?
So I don't know now really. I mean, yeah, I have an idea, but like I've seen during my time, when the market was booming, you masters, and I'm talking about DP2 is, there are obviously DP3 vessels also, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are DP rigs also, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I know, yeah. DP3 vessels. But during my time, the captains used to earn close to $650 a day, right?
$650 a day.
Yes, and second officers were on 400 and $420 a day.
Wow, that's like 32,000 something in today's date per day for a second mate.
As for a second mate, they were earning about 12,000 odd per month.
Oh yeah, $12,000. Yeah,
Per month,
per
right?
month.
So, and captains were around 15 to 18, 19, that much. I
Mm.
think now they on the ships that I know are the same, 550,
Right.
500, so 15, $16,000.
Right.
But I think convenience, the convenience is. I'm
Mm.
not saying that it's not stressful. Obviously, it is. Every
Mm.
job is,
Yep.
but it's not, it's not a 3 month or 4 month thing, right?
Mm.
It's short contracts, 42 days, 30 days, 60 days.
Right.
That is very helpful.
Right. Uh, so coming from that level of salary
Yeah.
to having zero,
Zero.
what an impact on the whole lifestyle.
Absolutely, it changes.
Yeah.
And see, if you don't have, how my confidence is also built up over a period of time is because of the bank balance that you have. I think it's
Absolutely.
with everybody, right?
Yes.
The more money that you have in your bank,
Yes.
you
Confident.
you are confident. To face the world, right? You know
Right.
that if any mishap happens, you're
Yes.
ready to face that situation.
Mm.
But yeah, coming from that and having nothing,
Yeah. I mean,
as those are the dark times that you
yeah,
that you
sure.
were referring to.
And I think it requires a lot of courage also. Of course, planning, yes, like you were mentioning, or the finances, but a lot of courage is required, and grit, and also like, I don't like to call it passion or something, but something which is inbuilt in you, inbred, and then you will step into something like this. This is what I gauge. Tell me if I'm wrong.
So, like whenever I look back also now, I don't really think that we have gone through very tough times. Yeah, financially, yes, very tough. But somehow, that time, God gives you that strength
Hmm.
to sort of tide over that period.
Hmm.
And plus, you've got founders as your best friends,
Right.
and that you're not alone here.
Hmm.
There are two other people also who are going through the same thing.
Hmm.
And as I said, that we raised money, so at least a little bit from family and friends. So at least, our, if not our salaries, but other things are taken care of,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So yeah, we were able to tide over that period
Right.
pretty happily.
Generally, I had asked this question in the beginning of the podcast, but I kept it till the end this time. Why did you join the Merchant Navy?
Oh yes, so that's this my house where I was saying, I was telling you, was very close to this studio,
Hmm.
right? And I remember one day, one of my friends who always wanted to join Merchant Navy, always and always.
Hmm.
He's still in Merchant Navy, he's sailing,
Okay.
and he, he after 12th we were like waiting for results to come, and we were just coming back from a cricket match in the morning, and it was a Sunday, and he said that I'll be joining Merchant Navy, and you should also try.
Hmm.
And I did not. I thought it's cruise ships. So I was like very happy. Cruise ships, okay.
Yeah.
I will. I will. I really like cruise ships, and because I had gone on one.
Hmm.
My mother used to actually work in airlines. She was in Jet
Okay.
Airways, Kuwait Airways, Gulf Air. So we used to get a
Right.
lot of free tickets, right?
Okay.
So the exposure of traveling abroad was there from the beginning.
Hmm.
So I remember calling up AirI the same day,
Hmm.
the same time, and the guard picked up the phone and he said, "कि आज Sunday है, सब बंद है, आप बाद में phone करना." So I called him up again. Then I discussed it with my father, and again, right place, right time. Something that which is meant to happen, happens for you.
Hmm.
Um, my father discussed it with his colleagues in the bank, and one of my father's colleagues was his son was just had finished his cadetship.
Okay.
So he
Hmm.
called me up the next day. He told me to get a magazine, Sailors Today,
Hmm.
remember,
Hmm.
of somewhere from GK, and he said, "K, I will tell you all the companies that you should send your resume to."
Hmm.
So I remember printing out my resume, like 50, 60 odd pages,
Right.
putting it in envelopes, and and obviously with a mail,
Hmm.
with a letter saying that my 12th results are pending.
Hmm.
So three companies called me for an interview. One was Gerbalk, obviously. Second, third, I can't remember now, but and I think one was Anglo, or maybe Anglo or some other company. But I got through Elite Mariners, so
Right.
that is the company that I joined.
Hmm. Um, of course, there are no regrets of joining this profession.
Absolutely
Yes.
not.
But
I love the profession.
but do you still advise young boys and girls watching this to
It's
join
a
this profession?
it's a very I think you're asking the wrong person. This see, as I said, that I will advise anybody who wants to earn money, who wants to take his family. For me, it was always like that.
Hmm.
That I don't want to be in a, you know, in a office job where I'm really hand to mouth, right?
Right.
I'm ready to give that sacrifice, and ready to sacrifice my, uh, that part of my life where I'm not able to be
Hmm.
at home,
Hmm.
um, in lieu of earning money.
Hmm.
And I was very okay with it, and I will still advise that
Hmm.
people from lower middle class families
Hmm.
who really think that
Hmm.
because money drives a lot of things in life.
Absolutely.
Everybody, nobody just works for happiness.
Hmm.
Unless
Hmm.
until you have a strong bank account,
Hmm.
nothing really
Right.
works out. So for those people, I would definitely tell them. For
Hmm.
people who think that and you can obviously sail for like 10, 12, 13 years and then
Hmm.
pursue something else. These days, you have executive MBAs. So many of my friends, I'm meeting one of my friends day after, who's a maritime lawyer now. He was
Okay.
my batchmate,
Mhm.
right? And so there is so much that you can do. You don't have to sail all the way till a captain now.
Hmm.
You can leave at second mate stage also,
Hmm.
and pursue your MBA and start doing
Hmm.
you know the market is wide open, right?
Right, sir. What are your thoughts about MBA, sir?
MBA. I mean, for me, I don't think that I'm cut out for MBA, because whatever they will teach you in an MBA, I'm actually you know
On it.
experiencing it day in day out, right? I think for me, uh, if you have to ask me that how do I learn, I learn being on the job, but also reading a lot of articles about leadership, and how you should put up a business plan, put a business plan in place, how you should be with the team, and whatever
Right.
a leader is required to do. But for others, I think, who want to take their journey from just being a seafarer to something else, to shore journey, I think it is a very good place to be doing an
Right.
MBA.
Are there any other alternatives rather than MBA specifically targeting for seafarers, and which they can do it and transition into the shore field?
Not Karan, not maybe the right person to sort of answer this, but I feel, other than the MBA, also there are a lot of companies that will give you opportunities to directly venture out into shore, without having a because when when you're actually joining a shore job, it might not be the most apt job for you, right? Like, you might uh, be a chief officer, and then you become maybe a marine superintendent, right? But that might not be an apt job for you. You might want to go into commercial chartering, or
Right.
something else, right? So I would suggest that first figure out what exactly would you want to do. Like, you would want to go to for trainings, or you want to be a trainer, teaching. So first figure out what you want to do, and then there's obviously a course for everything that you would want to do.
No, absolutely. Because all of us here, I'm being very honest, my batchmates, in fact, we're all trying to understand what all is out there. And this podcast is also primary reason for me to start this, because I want people like you to tell us, okay, there is something, there's this, yours is the entrepreneur side, and then there's commercial shipping, like you were mentioning. Then there's the technical side, operation side. So I think this is what our industry also lacks. There is lack of awareness of, first, what merchant navy is all about, and second comes what are options other than the merchant navy within the shipping field of jobs and all of that. So that's why I asked you this question.
I think there are now a lot of people who are basically. I remember my friend Gaurav Rana, right, from
Yeah,
Sea and Beyond.
absolutely.
He's doing something great, right?
Right.
He's helping out people who want to transition from ship to shore, right? So they have a lot of seminars now, and
Right.
that is one company that I know is doing
Right.
very well in helping people make that move.
Were there any experiences while you were sailing? Could be like something which is stuck to your heart till date. It was perhaps a deadly experience, or perhaps something which changed you completely. Was there something like that which eventually wanted you to step out of this profession?
Yeah, I think our primarily, I mean, I don't know who all will see this podcast, because these people are still there. So I think I had a very torrid cadetship,
Okay.
very very torrid, right? So that is something that I still am very furious about, and I contemplated leaving sailing after the first ship. Spoke to my brother, told him that these are like horrible people, and but yeah, bad time or good time, they don't
Last.
stay
Yeah.
stay up forever. So
Mm.
I think I'm glad that I did not. But there was this incident on one of the ships where there was a drug case, right, and happened to the company that you know of, right? So so wherein this third officer had planted some cannabis in the captain's cabin, something that really shook us, that something like this can also happen. And yeah, so these, I think, primarily one experience of not having some great seniors who would actually want to handhold you, because you just you're basically a mother's
Boy,
baby,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mother's boy, unless you you make that transition of being on the ship alone, and from there on to be sort of harassing you for every small thing, I think. But that's something that has changed now, because with the advent of social media, and there's uh, so many companies having a grievance redressal system now in place, nothing of these sorts happen now.
Right, absolutely. And that's a good part about the social media also, that you can voice
Yes,
your thing out and it will not get unnoticed.
absolutely,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Nice. So, like, I wanted to ask you as a personal question, what are some of the books, perhaps, if you want to refer, just to transition into the mindset of having an entrepreneur, if you have also read, which you recommend to students?
See, I was never much of a reader until entrepreneurship happened, because
Hmm.
now obviously you need to keep abreast with the, there's a lot on, going in your mind now, and you also need a lot of clarity, right? Fortunately, I've got good mentors who uh, help me with this clarity.
Hmm.
But I started off with I'm a big on autobiographies, right?
Okay.
So people who are inspirational, people who actually can help you, um, you know, know yourself more, right? And
Right.
what people have gone through and what all challenges they've overcome to actually be a successful person. I'm not much of I'm not much of a reader when it comes to reading these
Self help and
like
all.
these books on entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I think it's a very private journey
Mm-hmm.
for me, at least, right? What has worked for me might not work for somebody else, right? But as I said, that yes, and how to build a team and how to scale a business, all these things, yes, I do read a lot of articles, and plus I have good mentors to help me
Right, sir.
with.
You are talking about a very important point which all of us miss, which is mentorship. What is a mentor, sir? What does he or she do to you?
So
Yeah.
just clear your head when you require, when you require it the most, um, and somebody who sort of also knows, who's been in that position that you are in, who understands that what you must be going through. So we've got Shesh sir as our mentor. He's a DMAT marine engineer, been the CEO of the topmost maritime ship owning, ship management companies in the world, and I am Bangalore pass out. And again, you mentioned about how I got connected with him, LinkedIn. Just messaged him, and he's been there handholding us since day one, like since the time we came back from Rotterdam. So from 2018, he's been there with us. So I think he's been in that position. So uh, how these people help you with, obviously the amount of experience that they have is enormous, but also they provide you that clarity. They will get you, in the drawing board, on the drawing board, and tell you that, so they will explain you that, the key to success is to do the simple things well in life, to do the basics well in life, right? To document everything, to to have KPIs and KRAs for everything, and not only for your people, but as a team also, and to have those KPIs and KRAs for yourself also. So I think these are the things that I have sort of learned from him. And every now and then, obviously, he shares a lot of these articles about how a CEO should think. He writes a lot of books that he shares with us.
Right.
So I'm more towards, that side wherein, I read from a guru, a mentor, who's been there, done it all, and who knows that what I am also going through.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the best takeaways for me personally right now, and that's why I wanted to ask you this particularly. Just for a closing note, sir, do you want to speak about something, or because lot of questions were put across today on Instagram, I asked them that I'm conducting a podcast on maritime startups, entrepreneurship, and business. So if they're watching this, sir, any one particular line or one particular statement which you want to say that, okay, boys or girls, this is what it is.
I
Yeah.
think our industry is so traditional, right? Like if you told anybody, you know, uh, like if you told anybody from any other industry saying that I've built an app,
Mm.
they will not even like give you a reaction.
Mm.
And but if you told somebody, on the ship or in the office that I built an app for something,
Mm.
you know what the
Yeah.
reaction would be, right? So our industry is so traditional, so far off, from what's happening, around us. And I think that presents us with a very big opportunity in our industry that there is so many things that you can digitalize. You look at the startups, what they're doing, from having automatic hull cleaning machines to having drones clean your ships and so on and so on, right? Like just a couple that I can think of right now. But look at those aspects within your ships, within your company, and there is so much that you can do. So our industry is one industry that gives you that opportunity wherein you can
You can have like the
change a lot.
and the first movers advantage as well.
Yes, you can change a lot, and there's no doubt of investors, there's no doubt of people who will give you an opportunity for a pilot. There is no doubt. You very well can do it.
Just the last question, sir. Who is your inspiration, if you have any?
Inspiration.
Yeah.
It is a. I mean, business-wise, obviously, we want to. Like I would say, Ratan Tata is somebody that uh, who would inspire me as a leader. I get highly inspired by Saurav Ganguly, right? He was always my favorite, and I loved the fact that how he built a team out of good and smart people, but who were all newcomers, right? And Ratan Tata, for the empathy that he brings to the Tata Group, right?
Right.
So something that we also want to sort of imbibe and actually bring to our office also.
Beautiful. Captain Dhruv, this is one of the best podcasts I've had in terms from me personally. I'm being very selfish right now, but so much I have learned because I am also thinking in terms of those sense. And I think it's a pleasure and honor to have you here and enlighten us with all of this. In fact, me and my co-founder is sitting here. We are learning too much and we are very happy that you came and you made it such a short notice.
No, thank you very much, and I hope that you never go back on ship.
I think people are waiting for me to go back for the life at sea videos.
So life at sea videos, it's okay, but
Yeah.
you never go back on ship, and because something that you're doing is amazing. I mean, I told you on the message also, right, that I've shown your videos to my kids, right?
Right.
Because see, I never did any of I did never actually had a video also of the ship, right? And through your YouTube channel, I'm able to actually show them that what life at sea is all about, and how the cabins, how the cook cooks in the galley and all those things, and something you must take it forward, because what you have done, nobody else has done it ever, and not as well as you have done if somebody is there also. Because the kind of I was just watching your video like last week with my kids, and I was amazed at the editing that you have done. Like really inspirational. So like I think you must take it to greater heights, and for that will require your time here more than there.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
An honor, and thank you again for coming on short notice. We would love to have you back, as you
Absolutely, would love to.
our mentor, and talking about it for the audience.
Whatever I can share, I can just share my knowledge and experience. So
Absolutely,
would
sir.
would love to be around.
Sir, thank you so much again, sir.
Thank you.
So that was Captain Dhruv Sawhney for you all. I hope you all got a lesson on how entrepreneurship is in reality. And of course, it gave you a morale boost that in the maritime industry, there's a lot of scope of opening up your own startup. I am very confident that I am also going to do something like that. But do let me know in the comment section where all would you like to open your startup. And of course, do let us know in the comment section that which all guests you would like to see and learn from as an entrepreneur. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe the video because a lot more is coming. Stay tuned. Thank you again.